What is up, my peoples? This is my moss wall aquarium. I had fun making it. Let me show you how I did it. Alright, so here's how I'm constructing the walls. Unfortunately, I bought small pieces of mesh off of Amazon. I should have got one long roll and cut them into size. My wife actually had a good idea of zip tying them together, which actually came out pretty good. Regardless, I'm going to have the link in the description of everything that I used. We completed the process and made a total of 8 sheets to make 4 walls. I'm going to use 2 in the back and 2 in the sides. And then I'm going to sandwich everything together with the moss in between. The moss that I'm going to use for the wall is Riccia Fluitans. I have a good batch of this. It should be enough to put on all 3 sides. Here I'm taking them apart and making them into penny-sized pieces, trying to spread it out as much as I can so I could get as much coverage as possible. It's alright if there's a lot of empty spots, just try to spread it out as much as you can. Eventually everything will grow out and it'll be one wall of green. Take the mesh, place it on top, and then what we did was we sewed it together so it could hold everything in place. Never let your plants get dry, always spray it down as you're working with them. Keep them nice and moist. Don't spray your wife. As she continues sewing them on for me, I'm going to take the main decoration, which is like this fake tree trunk looking like thing. I'm going to take it. I'm going to try to make it as natural as I can. For this piece, I'm going to use Java moss. I spread some wet potting soil all over the piece and then stuck the Java moss on top, and then I'm going to sew it in after. I use as much thread as I needed, so hopefully when I put it in the tank, much of it can stay in place. As well as I put it in a bucket before, so all the soil could be released into the bucket, and then I placed it into the tank. Took out these 3 bunches of Java Fern windelov and I attached it to the wood. I placed them in high at first, but then I decided to switch it up later on. What I'm doing here is attaching zip ties to a suction cup. I bought this on Amazon as well. It comes together. You put the zip tie in through the suction cup and then you attach it to your aquarium. This came out perfect. Oh yeah, it's looking good. I'm already loving this tank. The walls are up, the suction cups are working. They seem to be pretty good. I use this black vinyl that's meant for windows. I'm gonna completely cover the sides and the back. Alright, so now this is looking a whole lot better. It should make the green on the wall pop a little bit more. Let's add some substrate now. I don't want to overplant it, I just want to keep it simple. Let's see what plants I use and the substrate. I'm going to just keep it simple with potting soil and gravel and sand over top to tap it all off. Let me show you how I do it. First, I'm going to add a thin layer of this cheap gravel that I found, as well as some pea gravel mixed in. This is going to be my base, and it's going to be a nice thin layer, not too much. I'm gonna make sure I scrape it back just a little bit. That way you don't see it in the front of the tank. I'm just using good old potting soil, trying to take out as much of the bark and wood that's coming in it. It could be any organic soil, as long as it's pure organics and no add-ons or no extras added into it. Again, pushing it back just a little bit so you don't see it in the front of the tank. I'm gonna use sand to top it off. I'm covering as much as I could. You know, making sure that all of the soil is completely covered by the sand. Alright, let's move on to the hardscape. I'm going to use different size rocks and pebbles. These rocks has moss on them, so they should grow out pretty nicely with the tank and go with the flow. I have these pieces of packaging foam so that the tank could sit a little bit more level. I also leveled out the stand also, so everything should be just right. Alright, so here's the tank in its sitting position. I'm going to continue to adding more little details. I'm going to add a little bit of pea gravel on top. It should just give it a nice realistic look to it. This tank is coming out pretty nicely. Everything is tying in together. I didn't want to do too much, not too little, just about right. But let's add in some plants and make it a little bit better. So this is what I'm using. I'm using Pearlweed. I'm just going to take it and put it into little bunches of 2 or 3 little stems. To be honest, Pearlweed grows a little bit fast, which is a good thing because I want to make a nice carpet out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strategically place it throughout the tank. That way it could grow out evenly, and then I'll just trim it down and root it next to each other until I have a full carpet. Alright, so I finished planting the pearlweed, and this is what it looks like. It's evenly distributed little by little throughout the tank, but eventually it will carpet out the whole tank. You'll probably barely even see the sand anymore. But I think I want to add just a little bit more plants, maybe something different. Let's see what I could find and add to the tank. Here's a type of Hydrophila plant that I'm going to put it on the screen, but it's going to look pretty nice in the back. It's going to grow pretty tall. And it's gonna make it, look a little bit more of that natural forest look to it. Finally, it's time to add some water to the tank and fill this baby up. So this is right after I filled up the tank. Of course, it's gonna look foggy. It's gonna look misty. I haven't even added a filter yet. So let's just take a look at it real quick, and you can see it, the pearlweed, the rocks, the background, the decorations, everything looks pretty nice. I'm liking this tank quite a lot. Let's give it about another day so it can clear up and try to see if we can see all around it and see what it looks like the next day. Alright, so this is the next morning. It looks pretty foggy still, nothing much has changed. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out a little bit of water, do a little small water change, and then I'm gonna add the filter so I could get this tank pretty clear. I have a few trimmings of Rotalia. I believe this is the narrow leaf version. Let me just place it in the background, not too many stems, just a few stems. For about a day or so, I've been running 2 filters on my other tank. I'm gonna take the smaller one and I'm gonna place it over to the tank. I took the inlet tube and I put mesh around it. That way, when I put the fishes in there, the type of fishes that I'm gonna get, it could be safer for the babies that hopefully I'll have. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the mesh and I'm gonna just roll it around, trying to get all those gaps. Then I put a zip tie at the end, and I'm gonna just zip tie everything together. This is how it turned out. Polyfill is gonna help with my filtration and to clarify the water. All right, I got the tank filled up, got the filter running. It's gonna look foggy and misty for the first few days. The only way to combat that is to do your, water changes. But that usually happens when you first set up a new tank. So let's give it a few hours and come back later and see how it looks. All right, so let me further help the process. I'm gonna add a few things. First, I'm gonna add Fritz Complete. This should help with the water clarity by removing the chlorine and anything else that comes from your tap water, as well as floating plants is a good additive to help with the cycling of your tank. Alright, there's not much I could do now. Just let the filter run, let the tank clear out on its own, and we'll get back to it in a few hours. This is actually a few hours later, and wow, did this tank really clear up. I mean, it's still a little misty, a little foggy, but like I said, it's gonna be alright. Here's the pearlweed in the foreground, doing its thing, looking like it's gonna be pearling right up. Got the Rotalia in the background, got the Hydrophila in the midground, and yeah, let's just give this tank a few weeks to settle in. Yes, though, let's give the moss wall a few weeks to fill in. It should start poking out of the mesh. It should get fully green and fully covered. So let's give that time to grow. This tank is only going to get better and better as the time goes on and it progresses and it matures more and more. All I would need to do is dose this tank with liquid fertilizer and it should be ready to go and grow. So yeah, just stay tuned. In the next video, I'm going to add some fishes and invertebrates. It's going to look really nice. It's going to go with the flow real good. I'm hoping so. So if you like what you see, then you know what to do.
Like, comment, subscribe.